This is Mario once again with MIA Microflight, and in this video I'm going to pose the question if anybody has done what I'm about to suggest and to illustrate here. If you have done something similar or on the same lines as what I want to do with this hoverboard control system, put it in the comments if you will. Granted, I don't get many comments. It would be nice, if somebody has done this, to to comment and say what you have done, or if you have thought along the same lines. It would be interesting. What I'm attempting to do in this with this particular go-kart, not go-kart. I am working on go-karts, but with this hoverboard, and this is a typical hoverboard of the more recent ones that are, these are designed for young kids, teenagers, perhaps they up to a certain weight limit. The actual frame is the plastic itself that you see here. That's the frame. The only thing metal in here is this section right here, which is this pivoting joint, which is just a metal tube inside these two aluminum sort of brackets. If you look at the older ones, they were full aluminum case at the bottom. They had a cover at the bottom and a cover at the top. This cover at the bottom is actually the support for the not only for the motors but also for all the electronics. And they have simplified the electronics as well from the old boards that used to be a board that would take half of this hoverboard, while the other half was done by the battery. And they had these controllers with the gyroscopes and the sensors, on very similar to these right here. But I think what they've done here, well, I don't think, I know they've done that because there's no extra boards here for the processor, is they have embedded the gyro and the microprocessor on one of these boards. I think it's this one right here on the left or right, depending which way you orient this. And then the other one just has the gyros and of course all the MOSFETs, that do all the power delivery to the motors. So what I am interested in finding out is if anybody has done. I have searched high and low, by the way, on YouTube and also via the internet. There are some sites that are aimed at modifications and hacks, of these controllers for various purposes. Most of them are for robotics use. People repurpose these things for doing small robots. But what they have to do in that case is they have to reflash the firmware on these units. I don't want to reflash the firmware. I don't want to go that deep. I don't want to be writing code. I want to be able to use the same controllers that you see here, but not on the board itself. So what I want to do is remove the wheels, as I have typically done, for my other go-karts. Keep them separate, either as a rear drive or a front drive, and bring the control system to the hands, so to the user or the pilot's reach. If you're young, this is going to be for a go-kart, for example. I want to be able to sit there and have all these controls at my fingertips, almost like those separate controllers that are designed for electric bikes, that you attach a throttle with a Hall sensor, to those throttles, and you have throttle control, and you have some other switches that you can connect to those controllers, which are, if you look at some of my go-karts that I've done in the past, they are done that way. But problem with that is, well, it's not a problem, but the only thing is that the controllers, these become basically useless at that point, because you're using a separate controller. And what I'm trying to do is not buy separate controllers, but use these same things as the control itself, because it is, you have you have all the controls features on these units, except that these are designed, for a hoverboard to be mounted on a hoverboard that needs to be on a platform like this. So what I want to do is I want to bring these two boards here, these boards with the gyros, i.e., we don't need a gyro for just front and back, forward and rear or control, because this is not, you're not balancing yourself on two wheels anymore if you're going to be using these wheels separately on a four-wheel car. So what I was thinking is of bringing these controls to some kind of a platform or box or plate that I can have it next to my steering wheel, where I can just activate those infrared sensor switches. You're actually not activating, you're actually deactivating, because these sensors are constantly on all the time, and only when they get interrupted by those tabs, as you press onto these tabs, the signal gets interrupted from there, and that basically arms the system, where it's ready to go forward and left by the motion of this plate right here, by the angle of this plate. Now, these are sitting right there. Now this whole complete assembly is upside down. Actually, it's supposed to be inverted to be upright. So these boards are sitting actually like this. When the hoverboard's upright, and when you press on these switches right here, when you press on those tabs, it interrupts the signal flow from these infrared sensors, and it arms the system. So you're standing there, it's always armed. When you're not standing, it's not armed. So once that it gets armed, and then you can activate your forward, reverse, and if you do this in opposite direction to the other one, you can establish turn control by one wheel going forward, the other one reverse, and vice versa. So if we bring these two electronic boards out, these PC boards, and you mount them on a plate, sort of what I have here, like that, one on this side, and this other one on that side. Of course, you're going to have to extend the cables. You have basically that control at your fingertips, which is what I want to do. I want to have that control at my fingertips. The only thing with this system here is that you need some kind of a feedback system that's going to keep this level all the time, when you release the control, so that the motors are not activated. You come to a stop when this is completely horizontal. And when these are mounted here, the way that's achieved is by feedback, the same feedback system that by this sensing of the angle. When the angle is a little bit off, the sensors want to bring it back, horizontal, and it's constantly doing that all the time, unless it's forced into that condition by establishing, that angle by putting pressure on the hoverboard surface, with your feet, and forcing that into that condition. But the minute you let go and you come back, and you come back level, this auto levels itself too by means of the sensors that it has embedded into these circuit boards. So it's got that sort of feedback, where it's constantly wanting to be horizontal, and that's the balancing act that these things do, via these electronic sensors. So if we were to bring this to a plate like this, we need some kind of a, when we push forward, obviously we have to trigger this, arm it. That's the easy part, because you can just interrupt these sensors just with very similar kind of tabs that you have here on the top on the hands. So when you're pressing that, it's always on, and the minute you let go, the system's not on anymore. And to establish the forward and reverse, which is what I want here mainly. I don't need directional control, because that I'm going to establish via a mechanical steering wheel to the front wheels. So when you do this, you're actually moving forward. And all you have to do is tilt this forward and tilt this backward, at that point. So, but this has to be able to come back to a horizontal state here when it's not in operation, just under normal conditions. So in order to do that, I was thinking that can be accomplished by putting these boards on some kind of a plate or a box or container or just a board, and have that board on top of another plate that's horizontal all the time. That's a fixed plate that has two springs. So this would be the fixed plate or surface, and then you would have the two springs that are constantly bringing this whole assembly here with the sensors horizontal all the time. So you can, when you press here, you can go reverse. When you press here, you go forward, and when you let go, don't put any pressure here. The springs level this out, in reference to this fixed plate right here. So this whole assembly would have to be pivoting on this axis here. A very similar setup to what I'm describing here is done on the Hover One Rogue hoverboard. The Rogue hoverboard is the one that has it's got the wheels, and it's the one that folds into a V, and you need that bar underneath to bring it to a horizontal assembly here. That's got those silly bars that they did that. Otherwise, the Rogue is a very nice setup as far as the electronics, and as far as this, exactly what I'm describing here, they have done independently on each one of these, on each side of this hoverboard. And I think they did that because when you do this hinge here, you cannot establish. I mean, you could establish, but it would be very complex. But when you have that hinge, this went away on this Rogue. So they don't have this feature here. They don't have this ability to do this. So how do they do this pivoting here? They do it independently on each one of these boards here, attached to a metal plate that's actually pivoting on two springs. And basically, that's exactly what I've done here. In this case right here, I'm bringing both of these boards out onto a separate plate that I want to have, say, mounted as part of the steering wheel, or maybe on the side here, so that it's sitting on top of a horizontal plate all the time, and just activating with your right hand. Activating with your hand forward in reverse. So we have throttle control basically for forward and reverse on this unit here via this what I just described here at this assembly here, and it's completely separate than the drive system, which can be done at the back or at the front here. So I'm wondering if anybody has attempted to do that or has done that. Would be nice if you can just put it in the comments below. Mario, once again, stay tuned for more.